Okay. Well, this thing's working or not. So, let's see what the hell's going on. Well, what's going on, guys? It's the diary of a griever named John Weaver, which is me. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, West Coast time. It is June 16th, 2024. It is Father's Day. Oh, good Lord, what a day for that one there. How about a nice smoky day out here in Southern California? I don't have issues sleeping. I have major issues sleeping at this point. Especially when I've got a fire out of control that's about 20, 30 miles away from me, but still touchable by hot ashes. So, yeah, how does that make me feel? Okay, like I've told people before when I do my own videos on my own channel, and I try to tell certain people out there, including a shout out to Artist in Recovery. Morning, Daryl. I also do to Reverend Ed Trevor's out there for Church Without Walls. Morning, Reverend. How you doing, sir? Anybody else? I try to refer people over to maps to give them a geographic on what we're looking at here. So, if you guys are in the local area of California, especially out here in the Antelope Valley, morning, guys, you're just like me and another zombie out here, but having a conniption fit. My attention level, my anxiety is going up to yang yang at this point. And let me show you why. Okay. I am going to refer you guys to Cal Fire. So if you would pick up your browser, get a tab open, type into the tab where it says Cal Fire, and you will see the link for it. Now, once you get the link, click on it where it says calfire.gov. California fires will be popping up here. I'll wait. You'll find that there is a website for the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, the homepage. And it will list a lot of fires. Now, if you're scrolling down the screen here, and you see California up in smoke, a lot of fires, I'm going to refer you to one that's too damn close to home. And this one is the Gorman Fire. Well, they call it a post. So keep scrolling past the incident map screen, and you see the currently active incidents down below. There's about 5 of them. Correction, 6 of them. Oh, 5. Definitely got to get my glasses cleaned. And the one where it says post fire down below, counties Los Angeles. Look at the acreage on it currently. I mean, we are talking about 2 o'clock in the morning here. And zero containment is over 10,000. You don't think this is not enough to give me nightmares and ulcers this morning? Now, my channel usually does with my own emotional lifeboat. I talk to people. Just trying to talk to myself mostly to tell people what's going on in case I happen to go over the deep end. But I also talk about other things that happen. Politics being one of those damn ugly things at this point over here. But this morning, since the Gorman fire started yesterday afternoon, I'm having conniption fits because PTSD strikes again. A little background. Southern California is my home. Born out here. Probably die out here. Probably smoking inhalation anyway. 38 years. Since 2 years old. Been living in the San Fernando Valley. Now, this is the reason why I keep telling people to check the maps. Okay? If you open up another tab and put in Google Maps, I usually use this all the time. And I wanted to show you on Google Maps before we get to the fire situation, okay? My default always goes to Roseman. That's home. Always is, always will be for right now. Ugh. But I also have another layer added to it, which is about the wildfire and also about the smoke. Now, if you noticed the wedge, if you're looking at it on the satellite view and not the field, you'll see the wedge, the arrow pointing to the west. So in that arrowhead, you'll see Edwards Air Force Base. Right next to it is the town of Roseman. So on the Google Maps, if you kind of type out Roseman, California, Rosamond, there you go, you'll see my little town. About 20,000 people in this damn thing. You also see the ashfall, what the alarm has been raised on Google Maps. When you hit on the wildfire layer and you see these things popping up, yeah, I'll show you something there. This is home. This is home. You'll see how close it is to the mountains. You say, oh, that's nothing. You guys ever dealt with wildfires before? You don't laugh at this situation here, especially when you get when you get ashes floating around and they got enough heat to generate. Now, I'm showing you on the Google Maps because I'm also switching you over to Cal Fire on this one here. So, if you would look at Roseman one more times, okay? I'm going to show you something. Try having the 14 freeway, the line that's going up and down. Have that centered. On the right-hand side, you'll see Edwards Air Force Base. On the left-hand side, you'll probably see something like Willow Springs. But in the middle is Roseman. Willow Springs, we have a racetrack out there. It's been out there more years than I remembered or knew of anyway. It's being sold off to another owner. They're not quite sure what's going to happen to the place. But it was a main thing out here in Roseman, at least for the residents out here. I'm taking off the layer of wildfire because I need to take a look, and I want you to take a look at something here. The edge of it, that dry lake bed, well, there's a lot of vegetation out there, ain't it? I want to show you how close the scrub brush is close to me. Now, there's a street called Roseman Boulevard. It goes up and down. Actually, it's east and west from the edge of Edwards Air Force Base all the way out to infinity and beyond. And in this area here, they've got a lot of area that's scrubbed. Keep this in mind because I'll be getting over to Cal Fire shortly. But I wanted to show you the dangers I'm living in. Okay. So starts up until you get a tighter shot. If you happen to see Roseman Boulevard and then you have to see United, say hello to home. But it's not the complex I'm making you look at, it's the amount of scrub brush we've got out there. Tighten it up until you see these black spots coming at you. Maybe more so. As tight as the satellite images can get on a computer screen or even on your cell phones, your smartphones. You see all this? That's flammable. One good spark, and I'm going to have you widen the shot. Now keep Roseman Boulevard right in the middle, and then you see United. I want you to widen the shot. Put United right in the middle of the screen. That kind of thing there. Okay. You see the complexes, you see the houses. Even down below, we would get an occasional fire from an abandoned trailer home on the south side of Roseman Boulevard. Now, this is not recent enough for me because we've already had fires out here over the past year. So some of that stuff is already torched already. But it's the complex on United and Roseman I'm worried about because that's home. You see all the scrub brush we got in the area? Now, I'm going to have you go to the other tab where it says Cal Fire, please. You're going to see the post fire in that area. Now, as I said before, when you clicked on the link for the post fire, did you already on the Cal Fire? Good. Because if you did, you'll be seeing the default image of the fire extension on this one. But they also have a little icon on there for the satellite image. Click on that, please. Widen this shot if you can. There's the control arrows, the plus and the minus, and then there's the, yeah, just hit the negative a bit, about one or two clicks on that one. You'll see the arrowhead of the San Fernando, of the Antelope Valley I live in. If you kind of maneuver the post fire image towards on the extreme left hand side, if the computer is going to be cooperating and the internet's not crashing on you just yet. Because I wanted to show you something that's terrifying. Not just a huge expansion of the Gorman fire. We've been having these things like crazy. But did you notice in the wedge area close to Rosebend, we had 3 spots? During the past couple of months, we've been having fires either by accident or by an arson bug. And this is what scares the living daylights of me. Way too close to home. Now, so we're trying to get into the details of this one. So before, 38 years, lived in the San Fernando Valley. And it's off the 5 freeway. 5 goes through it. So it's 170 and the Ventura Freeway and everything else. But in the surrounding areas, I had seen too many fires too close for comfort. We've been dusted with a lot of smoke and ash out there. I'm surprised I'm not living on oxygen tanks these days. And this is what scares the living daylights out of me. I have to have a setup of this going. Now, for some people, it's ridiculous, but for me, it's a lifesaver. It may look uglier than anything else, but this thing works. And I'm not arguing about it because I need something like this, especially when the air gets that bad out there. I'm already asthmatic enough as it is, but I really don't need to have COPD because of the damn asphalt up there. But I had to make sure I had a couple of these things ready to go. In fire season that we're dealing with, which is 24/7 and 365 now, thanks to global warming and everything else, we got this going on. And it scares the living daylights out of me because now I am getting into the position where I'm going to be doing the pack stuff up real fast and get me and my dog out of here in the eventuality that we get asphalt starting fires out here because we got one fire station. One fire station. Can I show you this back on Google Maps a little bit here, guys? This has already got your attention. You're a captive audience. Okay, when you're back at Google Maps and you're seeing the Rosemont town, you're like, oh my God, what is it back here again? Well, let me show you something. Widen the shot until you see the Sierra Highway and the railroad tracks right along Rosemont Boulevard. You'll see Sierra Highway. Follow the boulevard to the west, which means you're moving the screen and moving everything to the east. And I'll show you our little town. I moved out here with my brother back in 2015. Long story, a lot of videos about this one here. And it's been home for quite a number of years. I've been adjusted to it. I may not like the politics, but it's still home. There's still some good people out here. And I've noticed that they've had more issues regarding funding for things necessary because they keep switching a sheriff station left and right on them. But just as bad is they only have one horse town of a fire station. I'm moving into where it says about 25, actually 30th and Roseman Boulevard. In this area, you're going to be seeing if you tighten up a shot a little bit here. I mean, you'll probably see the small airport right at the northern end, so it's right below. Actually, it's 35th Street West. You'll see something called the Rosamond Community Services District and a little water out here for all the residentials and businesses. But in this area, you also have one fire station and one sheriff's department and one library for 20,000 people in this place. This is home. In the fire station, we got four engines, all paramedic and other services. They're also hooked up with the private ambulance company we have out here called um, Hall Ambulance. These guys are located on the east side of the 14th freeway. Small little alcove on 20th Street West. No, I'll take that back on Division. It's on the. Where is it? Oh, it's on Diamond Street. Okay, cool. We're lucky enough if we actually get four ambulances in a bay because these guys are always busy. Not to mention where the hospital's at. Let's do a geographic, shall we, guys? Widen this shot until you see Roseman almost becoming a blur. But then move the picture until you see Lancaster coming up from below. Nice community, Lancaster, California. A city of having issues in itself. That has only one hospital in Lancaster. We were lucky enough over the past 15 years or so, we actually had a new hospital put in, Palmdale Regional, which is in Palmdale, which is the only hospital they got out there. But Lancaster, Antelope Valley Hospital, Medical Center, actually, is trauma one. They'll get anything and everybody over there and get jammed up like crazy. Good, bad, mixed reviews of the place. The other hospital we have just for general services is up in Tehachapi, in the city of Tehachapi. We got a small community medical center out there. It does the generalized work. If you got a broken elbow, okay, fine, we'll take care of that one. If you got gunshot wounds, to take you over to Antelope Valley or to take you over to Henry Mayo out in Santa Clarita. And then you have the desert communities we have out here that also depend upon Antelope Valley, courtesy of Air Services. California City, Mojave, Moron, Ridgecrest. Oh, slew of them out here. Welcome to Home Sweet Home for a while. We must have had about 20 hospitals at one time in the San Fernando Valley, but I whittled down to a handful. For a large population, about 1 million. It's about that out here, but everything is so scattered. And in such a desert region, there is an occasional brush fire. Because of the climate conditions we've been experiencing out here, my own observations on this one here. We get the water table trying to be stabilized, filled up. Fine, we get our water table. We don't have to worry about the drought, right? Wrong. We worry about brush fire because after the plants have already been saturated and then we get the heat coming in, it sucks up the moisture and therefore we have brittle ground. Worse than that, after we start getting the wildfires, then when we get into heavy rains coming through, either during the summertime or wintertime or both, then we get the flooding going on because we don't have deep roots systems going on to hold the soil together to hold it tight. We don't have that. So we're screwed on that one there. Yeah, this scares the living daylights out of me, especially when we get flooding all over the damn place, including in the Antelope Valley. Urban flooding's one thing, but out here in the Antelope Valley, it's nasty. We always have to watch out for it. The roads are not even. The roads are not paved, all of them. We still have desert roads out there that got craters in them. Miniature lakes when we get the flooding going on. Not so fun. But it's still not so fun, especially when we're getting the fires going on left and right on this one. So I just wanted to get you this information out, what's going on, because it scares the living crap out of me. I've had so many years of dealing with fire seasons, watching it and seeing hillsides on fire. Scares the hell out of me. It really does. And I'm not quite sure, except for going through therapy a great deal, that's the only way for me to deal with this. Only way. So, this is in the middle of the morning. Actually, in the wee hours of the morning right now. My brain's screaming at me, I must sleep. But my tension level right now is driving me nuts. And quite frankly, I haven't had my morning coffee either. I'll make videos concerning about how I felt about Father's Day. I think I've already got them posted on my own channel here. But I had to get this off my chest. I don't know what else is going to be watching these things unless they're going to be watching the tape review and then try to post. But they do, fine. If not, I hadn't really tried to push for subscribers. I hadn't really tried to push for likes or sharing like that. This channel is basically my emotional lifeboat. Going through a lot of things in my life, losing people that I love left and right. I want to show you something. You see the cabinet on my left-hand side, right? Let me get this moved. Now, you also see the pictures on there. My mother was passed away back in 2013, and 2018 my brother passed. Yeah. Somebody just said, hey, so morning right back to you, muffin. Main reason why I do my channel is the title of it, The Diary of a Griever Named John Weaver, which is me. And I talk about the emotional situations that I go through. Grieving is not an easy thing to go through. Hell, death is something not easy enough to go through. I'll tell you that much. 4-year-old open heart surgery, 3 holes in the heart. Kid's not supposed to live long, but I did. 3 times up and 3 times back, and drives me nuts. So, yeah. Prayers out to you, Muff. Prayers out to you, pal. After that, I started losing people left and right. But the thing is, what they kept teaching me all the time is how to keep my emotions in check. Especially when I keep having my pediatrician during those days saying, Marianne, if he's freaking out again, we're seeing him at the hospital again. I can't stand this kid. Yeah, gotta love Dr. Stolpick for that one. Old country doctor couldn't take anything from kids. No, it's not taking a guff. But my mother, she had to deal with that one because she knew that I was dealing with it. And I had to deal with an elderly aunt that dealt with the loss of her husband and put into a nursing home just to grieve him for a long time. But my mom took her out, had her lived with me and my grandmother and my big brother. My brother had to go to Navy. But me, I was growing up. 8 years difference between us two. Him being the older and me being the youngest. And it was never easy dealing with loved ones gone, I'll tell you that much. Caregiver to both my aunt and my grandmother as a kid growing up. I had to learn the hard way. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But a caregiver is just more than just tending to the physical needs. It's also the emotional needs. And Well, my great aunt actually came to live with my family, and she was very sour, very in pain. I didn't know grief. I didn't know anything about that thing. All I knew is I went through death, and I'm okay, but I still couldn't talk to any clergy about the damn thing in the first place. I never could quite get it right. Problem is, I never died before as a kid, so there's no reference, no perspective. So screw that noise. But I did have an aunt suffering through it, and the only thing I knew to do was just climbed up on her lap, grabbed her by the face, and said, "I don't care how mean you are, Aunt May, I will always love you." And I think that way that her departed husband kind of spoke through me on that one because she changed her tune and became my best friend for about 3 years until she passed. And that was a heartbreak right there. But my grandmother, it's like months after she lost her sister, she had to have a stroke. My mother and I did about 3 years, 3.5 years, taking care of her at home while I'm going to school. Go to junior high, then go to senior high. God, that was a pain in the ass. That was really a pain in the ass. Yeah, and it's not so easy dealing with a grandmother 24/7. Half her brain not working, memory screwed up. Once in a while, we'll have the hospital, check on her. But we also had care nurses coming in. It was never easy for this kid. I've also had other friends pass away from other conditions like cancer. I've had that. Not me personally, but I've had people I knew and loved pass away from cancer. My mother wouldn't have it. She found out she had cancer, and she ordered her doctors to take the damn thing out right then and there. Okay, she got scheduled in for surgery. 2 more weeks later, she was recovering at home in pain, but at least she got the cancer out. But I never grieved after that. I never, I never cried. Even after grandma died, I never cried. I held it in because big boys don't cry. Of course, if I actually had a dream about my aunt, that's a different story altogether. But now we're talking decades later. Losing a few more people that are precious to me, but I didn't grieve as much. And it still hurt like hell, but I still had to hold it in because we still had to be strong for people, be strong for people, be strong for the family. Did you ever guys look at Hollywood sets or movie sets? They got the facades and then you got the supports in the back. Well, imagine this. You got veneer facades. You got almost picture perfect, right? But in the back, you got crumbling, termite infested, rotting wood. But veneer on the outside, that's the emotional stage. That's what I was going through. And then when I lose more, Ma was on a slow downhill. She was sharp as a tack. Bookkeeping, income tax business for about 20, 25 years. But with a lot of friends and family of hers dying left and right, it was just eating her up left and right. And she couldn't deal with it. I mean, she was trying to show how strong she was, but she was becoming more and more bedridden and more of a TV fanatic or an addict at that point. And that was the hardest damn thing to deal with. Seeing Ma in bed, dealing with the dogs, and she was enjoying the company, but she really wasn't going outside as much. I'm starting to relate to her all the time right now on that. I'm starting to relate to it more and more with the emotional loss. I'm starting to understand it more and more. It got to the point where Dave was trying to counsel me last several months before she passed. He knew she was dying. He was trying to prepare me for it. I didn't want to deal with it. I did not want to deal with it. This guy is not dealing with his mother. I lived with my mother all my life, literally. So when you're that close to a relative, when you're that close to people, yeah, the emotional investment that you put into the thing, it just hurts like hell sometimes. And this one did. This one did. Ma passed away in 2013 in February. Entire month. I did say entire month, or practically anyway. She had her last meal on January 31st with, oh, one thing. If you haven't seen anything crawling around in the background, it's not your screen, it's not the computer, it's bug war. I'm dealing with a constant invasion of these things. So just want to let you know and not have you guys freak out as much. But getting back to January 31st, it was the last meal my mother had on earth, and didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize for the last 2 or 3 weeks of her life she was having relatives coming over. Dead relatives, even deceased friends and family, all trying to get her prepared for the big day. And what happens? I think either Ralph Rail or Gabriel came down for the transit. Dave feels this cold image, this cold shiver while we're taking the dogs out. We get back home, she's already doing the death growl. He's calling 911. I'm calling 911. He's doing the CPR on her like crazy, rescue breathing like crazy. That 911's call trying to get the apartment cleaned up. Not this place, it was a different place altogether. And emergency packs ready to go. Dogs taken care of. All within about 5 minutes flat. Paramedics came in about 3 minutes flat. Had to shoo me out. So we rushed her over to the hospital after they tried to stabilize her, get him breathing again. And then it was about 18, 19 days of agony of seeing her pass. Slowly but surely in a critical care unit. They had a special blood pressure and pulse monitor on her, barely reading. We signed the paperwork, and then she passed away on the 18th, I think. 18th or 19th, one of those 2 days. I could never stand February. That wasn't bad enough. My brother, 3 years after that, misadventure at misadventure, we get into this particular place. So 3 years I'm dealing with him in this situation. He reaches 60 and he strokes out with transischemic attacks in his head. Took out speech, took out motor. Johnny Boy to the rescue 24/7. Doctor said that he could try recovering. Long journey on this one. No, got out of the plans. September 8th. Dave's waking me up. The bedroom over here, he's saying in perfect clarity, John, I need help. I can't breathe. Nowhere did I feel any cold spots in this place. All I'm doing is watching him, monitoring him while I'm calling 911, and then had to get this place squared away so they can get a gurney in here for him. Shortly after, I'm going into the trauma center, and there's a meat slab. I didn't see his face. I didn't see his face. I didn't want to see his face. All I could do was yell and scream at him to get his ass up. I almost had security throw me out. Antelope Valley Hospital is the place that my mother and my brother died in. That's the only thing I know about it. It's just been me and my little dog ever since. I deal with grieving on a day by day basis. Sometimes I get triggered and then I go thermal on that one. I go to crying. And, excuse me. Sorry about that one. For me, there is no shame in crying, except I do it in private. Praying and pleading to God, just get me through this damn thing because I don't want to go through it. I know there's a lot of stigma out there concerning about about grieving, about mourning, and people have other ideas about it. I keep seeing the memes out there on Facebook that keep passing by left and right, trying to reassure everybody. Trust me, grieving and mourning, it takes its own sweet time. I've had other people saying, well, you need to get out of the house. You need to do stuff. Yeah, a long time ago. But when you take out your emotional support that you depend upon all your life, it's kind of hard to get your legs sometimes. It's no wonder I'm starting to feel more and more like my mother had. I mean, she had the support of her two boys, me and my big brother. But that didn't happen. I mean, after she died, she was our support. And then we had to depend upon each other. We've always been depending upon each other most of my life. We watched each other's back. And the hardest thing sometimes is wake up in the morning, they're not here, and then kind of dismiss it a little bit. I've got pictures on a cell phone. I got pictures on another computer. I got pictures over here concerning about my family that I'll never want to forget them. And I don't want to. I know I had cousins that lost their own family, and they have a hard time trying to talk about their grief. One of them's a therapist, and he can't even deal with it. Nobody talks about the pain. Nobody talks about the grieving. Nobody talks about the mourning situations. About how sometimes they wake up in the morning and they do want to croak. Pull the plug. I've started to know that more and more. Hold on. But I also recognize that with my constant battle with the medical establishment all my life, that I still have to bend to the will of having a therapist to talk to about the situation. And it does help. My insurance covers the therapist, so I talk with her. I don't go out to the office. We do the Zoom or the phone. It's a lot easier that way. That way, I'm able to get a connection going on. That way, I'm not leaving home as much. I'm not leaving home as much to deal with humanity, unfortunately. That's the thing. In dealing with grieving and mourning, it's so easy enough just to stay in one spot and just not do a damn thing about it. But I'll tell you another thing I've been doing. I've been going back to college. Right after mom passed away, and we switched over to another place to live because we're living in was evicting us. We had to move to another place, and we did out here in Roseman in a trailer home. And during that time, my brother and I decided, after hearing advice from a friend and discussing it with him, okay, we'll go back to college. What the hell? Old fart's going over there, see what the hell's going on. So we did, Antelope Valley College. Yay. And it was home. It was my home. 7, actually 8 years going, sometimes off and on, taking 2 classes at a time. It became home, became structure, it became support, even after David passed away. That was hard right there. I mean, the month that he passed away was the time I'm getting back into the fall session. And I had to take that fall and winter, I had to take it off so I can go through life's situations, such as another bug war. And I had to deal with securing an apartment and trying to get myself focused for the fall. And then when I got focused for the fall, I was ready to go in there and take care of classes left and right. And I had tried to keep up with that ever since, but there are some days when I couldn't. So I'm doing a 24/7 caregiving on my dog who seems to have developed dementia, partial blindness, and uncertainty. And I'm afraid for her. I'm afraid to lose her. She's 20 years old for a small dog. She's old and frail, and I don't want to lose her, but I know eventually I'm going to lose her. And I have to deal with that until the fall. And when the fall comes, I'll have to make the decision whether or not to continue on. But I intend to continue on. I'm not giving up on college just yet. Talk a lot about this one on my channel. A lot of wind files. and other things probably not mentioned. But this morning, I needed to get this off my chest. I needed to get the fear off my chest. I'm dealing with fire issues that we have out here in Southern California. The Gorman fire people have been reading and hearing about. Yeah, they call it the post fire. Well, this damn thing's a monster. 10,000 acres. Scares the hell out of me. When the wind's blowing to the east, we're getting smoked. So yeah, that was the beginning of my live chat here. But opiate, my brother came damn close to shooting his face off. Thank God he didn't. Thank God he did. My brother had been in drugs and alcohol. He had did a stint in the Navy. Things happened that made him come out early to take care of ma and grandma, but he had to go back in, take care of an obligation or two, and then come out with big chicken dinner. But during that time, drugs and alcohol were the things that were driving him more. Got to the point where mom me threw him out. He almost came close to losing it. He lost a wife, or almost fiance. Tears apart a man. And one motel room, he had a revolver. He had a box of rounds. First 6 shots, nothing. He hit the primers. Actually, the firing pins, nothing happened. Loads up another 6, nothing happened. He slams the gun down on a table, blows a hole in the door. Cops come in. My brother is away from the guns and the ammo. He's huddled in a corner. So 72-hour psych eval. He had enough. I wanted to come back home, and it wasn't easy. I saw him. I saw a skeleton. I didn't see my brother. Called Ma. Ma told me to get him inside. She was reluctant, but she had to call some other people. One of them gave her a phone number for my brother to call when she came back home. He called the next day. When he passed away in September 2018, he had 32 years clean and sober. I'd seen him go through hell and recovery. Yeah, he was my hero. My hero. I missed the living crap out of this son of a bitch. Their ashes are on the top shelf of the cabinet. Yeah, some days are hard enough to go through, and other days, barely. But I get through it one day at a time. That's all the thing I can do. Sorry about the opiate situation. My brother is a special person sometimes. We go through a hell of a lot with each other. I've heard sometimes that other brothers want to kill each other because of sibling rivalry or something happened between them. My brother did that a couple of times, but because of decisions he was making that I disagreed with. Dan and I had us separated until we came back to try to hash it out. At this time, we're not trying to kill each other. But for my life, we've always had each other's back. Growing up as kids, all the way to the adults. So I'm kind of surprised my brother still got my back. He still got my 6. Sorry, Muffin, that he passed. My prayers go out to you, pal. Long journey. But as I said before in some of the other postings in Facebook, you ain't alone. You're not alone. With that, it's about 2:45 in the evening, and this kid is trying to deal with his head and wants to go back to bed and sleep it off. I'm going to see, but I'm also going to see if my little dog is not having any conniption fits. I hope not, because I understand how she's feeling right now. So I will post on my channel, let people know what's going on. As I said before, it's a way for me to keep my sanity. It's an emotional lifeboat, but it's also a memory lifeboat. In the eventuality that my brain happens to go schizoid again or strokes out and I don't remember a damn thing, at least I have memories saved. And I can listen to them just to see who the hell I was and how my family was and who my family was and things. You're trying to figure out a way how to get through your own grieving and stuff. You take it a day at a time, a minute at a time, and you try to do things that you can do. Life's changed. Perspectives change. Your old life is gone. Now you got to adapt. Sucks. But it's survival. There are some days you could smile. If you take enjoyment of a one little thing or two, hold on to it. You like a movie? Don't overdo it. But enjoy it while you can and laugh. It's good to get a belly roll going. But if you happen to get any movies that start triggering you in a certain way, realize what realize this, okay? There are triggers out there. There are emotional triggers out there. Only you know what the triggers are because these things will happen on a consistent basis. You'll recognize it. Now, either you find a way to avoid it or you're going to find a way to get through it without being overcome by it. I'm trying my best on that. I see shows that have family all the time. I see shows that have groups of people that in my brain, I equate it with family. With family. And that's important to me. Family is everything for me. When I start realizing that more and more, that's when it really becomes harder and harder to deal with. But I see the topics out there. I see the themes regarding it, regarding family all the time. They're they're part of the triggers. Talking about this on a constant basis also is a trigger for me as well. Even doing this live shot, because I'll be expecting my brain to start processing and starting to count down before something innocuous would happen, and then I'm off to the races, boys and girls. So now I'm calling it a night. I'm going to get some sleep. You too, You too, Muffin. I'm sorry. What was that again? Muffin Boy? Oh, that's an interesting one. Okay, pal. Take it easy. Take it a minute at a time. Breathe if you have to. And if you need to cry, cry it out like crazy. Grab a pillow. Scream and yell at the damn thing if you had to. Get it out. Get it out. But one thing you don't do. There's that feeling, there's that thought that goes in your head. Slick, oily, so easy to listen to and feel. Don't listen to it. And once your history, pal. Once you're off the planet, don't do that. Live, live, live and deal. With that, guys, I'm calling it a night.